If I was a unionist in Northern Ireland, I would be very worried about this. I mean, that's why I find it absolutely extraordinary that you've got significant parts of unionism that are pro-Brexit, because it's bound to cause a problem. Now, I'm not saying the problem can't be overcome, and it's going to have to be overcome if we do Brexit. But the reality is that as a consequence, you have changed the status of the Republic of Ireland to Europe and the UK to Europe. You've changed it from one of the same relationship to one that is different, and the border, the actual border with Europe, is going to be the actual physical land border is going to be the north-south border. I mean, I always say to people, I think some of the most difficult meetings I ever had as Prime Minister were with the families of the victims of the Troubles. And they actually fitted into two categories of people. One group of people said, how can you be sitting down with murderers and making a deal with them, or releasing people who committed horrendous crimes against innocent people? And my family were a victim of this appalling violence. And then there would be other people who'd say, you've got to make sure this works, because I don't want other people to go through what I've been through. And this is, this is where, in the end, as a political leader, you've got to decide what you think is right. But yeah, of course, it's these things require choices that are difficult for the leader, but they're even more difficult for the people who have been victims of the Trouble. The agreement, the peace agreement, is the start. It's not the end of it, it's the start of the process to ending it. People have just got to throw their minds back to what it was like during the Troubles. And I do find it extraordinary sometimes when people sort of say, well, has life really improved? Well, I think, yes, it has. I remember going to Northern Ireland long before I became Prime Minister in the 1980s and being shocked, thinking I'm going into a part of my country that is completely different from any other part of the country. We were involved in this incredibly complicated and difficult negotiation, which was seesawing between success and failure throughout the 3 days. What was at stake was of immense magnitude to try and put an end to the violence in Northern Ireland that had disfigured the lives of people and cost the lives of people for many years. And it was an event which required extraordinary focus, and literally for those 3 days I think we probably managed about 6 hours sleep over the whole of the time. When we arrived, we expected to be there for a very short period of time and to conclude the agreement. And I remember when I got there, Senator George Mitchell, who played such an immense part in trying to put everything together, said to me, look, I just don't think this is going to work. And so the first thing was actually to put the whole negotiation back on track, because it was badly derailed at that point. And particularly the union side was saying at that moment, look, you're just going to have to scrap this and start again, and maybe we should all go away and come back another time. But, I decided at that point, and curiously I think it was partly because we were still in the first flush of being a new government. I've been in office less than a year, and we just had an extraordinary sense of what might be done. And I remember when I actually finished it and we announced the agreement, and I actually had to go abroad for an engagement in Spain. And I remember getting on the plane, and the first thing that happened was that I was past the mobile phone, and the Queen was on the other line, which was literally the only time that ever happened to me, to offer her support and congratulations for the agreement. And then I remember, actually, as we were just taking off, falling asleep and not waking until we landed.